What's up guys, I'm Brad Rodriguez from Fix This Build That, and today I'm going to show you how to take some inexpensive wooden crates along with some full extension drawer slides and unlock a ton of extra storage in your small closet. Stay tuned and I'll show you exactly how I did it.
The closet I'm working on is a narrow under the stairwell closet in our house. To get started with the storage upgrade, I pulled everything out of the closet to have a blank space to work with. I got everything out of the closet. This closet's about 5.5 feet deep and a little over 3 feet wide. It's your typical under the stair closet. So what I want to do is take advantage of the depth that we have here, and I'm going to do some shelving right here, right onto the wall that you can access from the front. We're going to use the space from the hanging right here and just get a ton of storage and get everything off the ground. The wooden crates I'll be using are 18 inches long, 9.5 inches tall, and 12 inches wide. You can get these at the home center or your local craft stores. The crates are just assembled with staples, so the first thing that I wanted to do was make the bottom a little bit stronger. I used a pry bar and I pulled the slats away from the solid end of the crate about 1/2 inch. To make this connection much stronger, I put some wood glue under the slats and I added a brad nail to hold it tight while the glue dried. This is going to make the bottom of these crates way stronger and the slats won't work loose over time. Next, I needed to strengthen the sides so I could securely attach the drawer slides because those slats would be way too flimsy on their own. I cut two 18-inch sections from a 1x4 and I secured them to the right side of the crates, flush with the top and the bottom. I used 1 5/8 inch screws and I drove them into the solid end pieces after pre-drilling. Just watch out when you drill your pilot holes for the screws and make sure you don't hit one of those staples in the slats below. After reinforcing all the crates, I sanded them to 150 grit to prep for painting. Instead of leaving them natural, we want to go with a little pop of color in that drab closet, so I hit all the crates with 2 coats of spray paint. I highly recommend one of these trigger handles that I'm using on the can. I'll have a link down below in the description for this one, as well as all the other materials that I used in the project. While the paint was drying, I moved back to the closet to install the drawer slides. The hanging shelf was a little over 4 feet off the ground. I took into account the height of the baseboard and then I cut 2 cleats from a 1x4, which I'll attach to the wall and secure the drawer slides to. We had some extra paint from the closet, so I painted the cleats the same color to help them blend into the wall a little bit better. To mount the cleats, I pre-drilled holes in them. I put the holes for the back cleat near the back edge so I could hit the corner stud. Now the front cleats didn't line up with the stud, so I just had to space the holes evenly for wall anchors, which I'll show you later. I installed the back cleat flush with the corner of the closet using 2.5 inch screws. Now it's not necessary to level it since it's going to be hidden in the back. I marked 18.5 inches off the back wall and then I used a 4-foot level to mark a couple vertical lines to reference the front of the cleat. I drove some screws through the cleat so that they were just poking out of the back. Then I lined it up with the reference lines and I pressed the board firmly against the wall. Now this puts little indentions in the wall and it showed me exactly where I needed to put those wall anchors to line up with the screws. I installed these screw-in style wall anchors with a screwdriver and I prefer them over those small sleeve types. Then I lined up the cleat with the anchors and I secured it to the wall with 2.5 inch screws.
I'm using 2 18-inch full extension drawer slides for the side of each crate. So to get these spaced perfectly on the crate and inside, I cut a 6-inch spacer that's 18.5 inches long. I can transfer where the slides will go onto this piece as well as to the wall inside, and that means they'll fit just right when I install them.
I marked 1 3/4 inches down from the top of the crate on each side. Then I lined up the spacer on these marks and drew a line down the length of the 1x4s using the spacer as a guide. This gave me a center line to mount the drawer slide hardware on. I took apart a pair of the 18-inch drawer slides using the release tabs on the side. From there, the mounting is very straightforward. I just lined up the slide so that the front was flush with the front of the crate and that line that I marked was centered in the mounting holes all the way down the slide. I attached the slide with the 3 included screws and then I repeated the same process for the second slide on that lower support piece. It went quickly and I used the same method to attach the slides to the other 2 crates that'll be hanging. Back in the closet, I marked 1 3/4 inches from the top of the cleat, then I made 2 more marks, moving down 12 inches for each one. I lined the top of the spacer board up with that reference mark and used a carpenter square to make sure that it was 90 degrees to that front cleat. Then I drew the lines on the top and the bottom of the spacer with my pencil. I repeated the same steps all the way down until I had the 6 layout lines that ended up being 6 inches apart. Now mounting the drawer slides is slightly tricky with just one person, but it's basically the same as on the crates. I lined up the slide with the front of the cleat using a scrap block and centered it on the layout lines. Then I used an ice pick, Jimmy DiResta style, to make indentions for the screws and then drove the screws in. I started by attaching a screw in the front and one in the back, and then came back and put another in the front for that first slide, but I found it was way easier just to go ahead and put 2 screws in the front cleat and then 1 in the back. Now the key to this whole process is keeping pressure on that slide after you've positioned it until you have at least 2 screws in here. With all the slides in, I started installing the crates. Using the spacer means that the slide should line up perfectly and the install goes smoothly, though I'd suggest starting at the bottom first and going up from there. It was a little hard to see what I was doing on that third one. For the last crate, I didn't use slides. I just attached some felt feet to the bottom of the crate so it would slide easily on the floor, and also we could put some heavier things in it. To help keep things organized, my wife made these little chalkboard stickers for the crates. They're erasable, so we can just change the label with the season, or if we ever just want to put something else in them.
So I'm sure you're wondering, how much can these actually hold and how does it work? All the things that we have in here are very light. We have bags, blankets, some sports stuff. But I do want to show you they actually will hold some weight. So just to show you how much weight this can actually hold, I have 2 10-pound dumbbells, and I'll show you that this can easily hold 20 pounds, which is way more than any of this stuff weighs. You probably want to go with the lighter stuff, but it can hold up to 20 pounds in this configuration. So that's how you can use these wooden crates along with some full extension drawer slides to get extra storage out of your small closet. This is a great addition to any closet. If you want to subscribe to the channel down below, go ahead and do that. If you like the video, go ahead and like that as well. Until next time, guys, get out there and build something awesome. This closet's really small.